Hi guys, welcome to episode 3. Today we're in Hargate Forest, which is my local forest just down the road from where I live at the moment. So today we'll be talking over a couple of things. Firstly, how training's gone thus far, 2 out of 3 races down, so going to do a brief kind of catch up on that. And then 2, going to be talking about the plan moving forward, I guess. Pretty stressful few months coming up, so I want to be able to talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, and then I guess also just briefly talk about one of the reasons why I like trail running, why I like being out in places like this. So during the first episode, I kind of said that there were almost like 3 races that were going to lead into this 100 miler. 2 of them I have done. So first one being the Brighton half marathon. Obviously went into that, managed to get a PB by about 3-minute PB, I think that was. So very, very happy with that. Meant I was in a pretty good spot in terms of like speed endurance. The thing that I wasn't necessarily lacking, but the thing I needed to then build was time on feet and being able to endure over a longer period of time. The second race I did, which was in March, end of March, so a couple of weeks ago, was a 10-hour challenge. Every hour on the hour you go out, you could do a 3-mile loop, a 4-mile loop, or a 5-mile loop. I decided to choose the 4-mile loop. So over the 10 hours, ran 40 miles. And to be honest, like, I was very, very happy with how that went. I was still running well towards the end, and it didn't, and I felt like I could continue. I could have comfortably done 50 miles plus over that day. So to be in a position where I felt strong, I felt good, and then I haven't had many races in the past where I have finished and felt like I had more in the tank. So to be able to do that was, you know, a pretty pleasing sign, especially as I hadn't raced anything that distance or anywhere near that distance in a long, long time. So in the lead up to that race, the furthest I went was a 22-mile race on the run on the South Downs. So the prospect of doubling it going in was kind of a little bit unnerving. I was going to say concerning. I wasn't concerned, but I was unnerved because I didn't really know how my body was going to handle it. I didn't know how I would react and how it would feel. So yeah, like obviously with the loop race, you go back to your bag. You have your food and your drinks, so you're not carrying that. So and you have a bit of time after each lap to rest before you go again on the hour. So in terms of that would have definitely helped in how I felt. But it's still 40 miles over a 10-hour period, which, like I say, I hadn't done in a while. So to be able to go and do that and feel good was, a massive boost, both in terms of confidence and kind of understanding where I was. And it puts me in a great spot now moving forward from here. Aim now is to build up towards a 100k race, which I'm doing in June. So mid-June, I'm going to be doing Race to the King, which is a figure of 8 race down on the South Downs, so out towards Chichester. So the next few months are just going to be about building mileage and getting comfortable with longer distances more than anything. That Race to the King is going to be probably the longest I go pre-100 miles. Plan is at the moment to try and push harder on that race. You know, with that 10-hour loop, I felt like I was pretty comfortable throughout. I didn't really feel like there was any point where I was really pushing, which was good. I kind of went in with the idea of walking hills, running the flats and the downhills, and I kind of stuck to that game plan from the first lap all the way through, and which was probably also one of the reasons I felt good and one of the reasons why I was still running at the end. So yeah, the next few months just really see how I fare training wise, see how I feel over the next few months, mixing training with all of the madness that is about to happen, which I'll go into in a bit. And then my ideal is that I want to get to the point where I can kind of push the 100k a bit. Saying you're going to push 100k, is kind of a little bit silly in a way, because a lot will depend on how I feel on the day. And I think one of the reasons that I didn't do so well on the 120k that I did in October was because I pushed the first bit too hard and then basically dug myself a hole that I couldn't get out of. By the halfway point, my feet were pretty wrecked and I didn't have any way of kind of counteracting that. So I, plan would be to walk the first 50k, see how I feel, and then kind of make a decision from there, and ideally push on and try and get as fast as possible. But that's probably going to be a secondary aim to just surviving the 100k and getting through it. 2 months now until that race, so good block of training, probably the biggest block of training I'll get in terms of time scale, and then I'll have a couple of months after that to get myself ready for the 100 miler. Yeah, so next few months are going to be a bit mad, to be honest. Next month is crazy with weddings, sister's birthday, which we're going away for, and just general life stuff. On top of that, we're moving house. So we're moving half an hour away from here. So that's going to add its own element of stress in terms of like when the move actually happens, because we're trying to push for next week. Don't know whether that's going to happen because the week after, again, we're away. So fitting in training is going to be a little bit more challenging, just because so much stuff is happening and being away from home, and alongside the fact that obviously training for 100 miles, there's going to be a lot of other things to balance, which is good. Like we were saying earlier, it's all good stress to have. There's nothing negative about it. It's just going to be balancing the move, renovating the house, 100 miles, training for that, and also running a business. So it's all good stress to have. But I guess this is, again, links back to that first episode where I have those 3 sessions, right? The 3 key sessions are the ones I know I need to hit. And if I hit those week to week, they will be the ones that move me forwards. So on the weeks where things do get a bit nuts, as I imagine they will, it's going to be a case of defaulting down to those 3 sessions, making sure they get done. So I might just have to default to those 3 sessions for a bit, and that's kind of what they're there for. I know that I can hit them on a week-to-week basis, irrespective of everything else that's going on. I'm sure there'll be weeks where I go down to those 3. There'll probably be other weeks where I do more. It's just going to be a bit of a play it by ear. I obviously will endeavour to do more, but life gets in the way, doesn't it? So, and has that funny habit of things coming up when you least expect. So I guess again, it's kind of practicing what I preach in terms of what I'd say to clients, in terms of finding balance and being able to make their training fit for them and fit for their lifestyle. It'll be an interesting few months. Obviously training at the moment is going really well. I'm getting 2 strength sessions in a week. I'm getting in 3 to 4 runs. We've just started another run club at Halo, like an early morning one. So actually it's been really nice. Like when it's days like today and the weather's beautiful and it's sunny, running at 6:30 is absolutely lovely. So training's going well, but as I said, there'll be other. This is quite an easy block. Like I live a half an hour walk away from work at the moment, so I can run there if I want to. I can get back to walk the dog, and things are quite cushy in that sense. Obviously, with the house move, it'll make things a little bit more difficult in that respect, but also with all the other bits going on, which is just general life stuff, that will add its own challenges. But I'll endeavour to take my running stuff when I go away, even on like the weddings and things like that. That's not really going to affect that too much. It might be the odd strength session that gets dropped here and there. And obviously you can't exactly go out for like 4 or 5 hour long runs. Well, you can if you're at a wedding, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult when you're off somewhere else and you've got other people's time frames to be adhering to. So it might mean that a couple of days I have to do almost like back-to-back runs. So I'll do a 20 miles on on a Saturday and a 10 mile on the Sunday. And then the other thing would just be like a bit more road running probably. It's going to be easier than always finding trails. Wherever I go, I'll endeavour to find trails, but it might mean that I just have to get out and go on the roads. Also because of, again, thinking about timing, it'll be easier to run on roads and get a decent amount of mileage, then go out and find trails and then run on them, and inevitably go through the process of going out, getting lost, trying to find your way again. Roads are a little bit easier to navigate, so it might mean that I do a little bit more road running, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think, you know, as long as I am doing some trail stuff, that I can chuck a bit of road stuff in here, and I think it's pretty good for building fitness anyway. So yeah, so next few months is going to be about trying to build up the longer runs. I'm doing some uphill tempo work now as well, which is just going to get me used to running uphill. I'm also going to begin including some downhill running as well. If you've done any long trail stuff before, it tends to be the downhills that wreck your legs. And I know for a fact that on the race I did in October, it wasn't the uphills that I was struggling with, it was the downhills. And because it was a coastal race, there was some pretty aggressive downhill sections. So like you're literally going up and down steps. So, and I'll go into this in more detail in the next episode, but actually beginning to condition your legs to running downhill and getting them used to that kind of eccentric loading of the quads especially will be really useful, knowing that I'm probably gonna you know, have to deal with some discomfort, and obviously with it being 100 miles, you'll be going up and down the whole time. So to kind of prepare my legs for that, I'll make sure that I'm including some of that work as well. So obviously build up the mileage on the long run, very easy running on the rest of the stuff in the week, and then the uphill tempo work will be kind of like the one hard session I've been doing. Alongside that, a couple of strength sessions just to keep me feeling strong, just to get my body fit, strong, robust enough to deal with like the high impact nature of running these kind of long distances and dealing with the kind of mileage I'll be doing on a week-to-week basis. So something else I've been looking at over the last few weeks is just making sure that my easy running is easy. You know, obviously I do a running club on a Monday, Tuesday, and really just honing in on making sure that I'm not running too hard on that, because it's very, very easy to do, and almost seeing those runs as like recovery runs post long run on a kind of weekend, and to get my legs in a good spot to be able to do the harder sessions, which I generally do on a Thursday. And this is a mistake that I think a lot of people make, is that they think they're running easy when actually they're not. And I think I've probably been too guilty of this at times. So all I've been doing in those runs in the week is just making sure I'm bringing the speed all the way down, so it literally almost feels, I don't want to say uncomfortably easy, because I don't think that really is a thing, but to the point where I finish a run and I haven't broken a sweat, but I feel like, oh, that was kind of nothing, I can go again. So yeah, I have those easy runs, and then one hard effort, and then obviously one longer effort, which again is going to be at a really comfortable pace. What I've been thinking about is, okay, I did that 10 hours at 4 miles an hour for 10 hours. What kind of pace am I going to be looking at over that 100 miles? I will set myself a, I guess, first aim, which will be completion in the time limit, and I have an understanding of what I need to hit to get to that time limit. I'll also have an idea of, you know, if I feel really good and I can push and I can maintain a better pace, what does that look like? And because to be honest, like with a lot of these races, you're only going to be moving, you know, especially at kind of my level, which is very amateur, and really using this race to push myself and see what I'm capable of, rather than actually racing it per se. You're only going to be moving at like between 3 and 5 miles an hour. Like that is going to be the kind of general plod you'll be doing, but that obviously takes into considerations pit stops, that takes into consideration uphills and everything. Okay, so it's beginning to have an understanding of what that looks like, and then beginning to replicate and see how that looks in your training, because especially in the long runs, there's no point me going off and doing 6, 7, 8 mile an hour training runs when realistically I'm going to be working at a lot lower intensity. It's almost better that I begin working at the lower intensity and get really used to just doing that for a longer period of time than going out and hammering like quicker runs the whole time. Because one, it's not, you know, it's not going to be training in the way that I'm going to be running, and two, the temptation is then to go and run the 100 miles like that. You know, if I'm running 7 miles an hour in all the training runs, and I can do that for 10 hours, great, but reality is I'm going to be doing it for 24 hours plus, and that's what I need to begin preparing my body for. So one of the reasons that I love this area in particular, and also just getting out in nature, is because it's just such a great de-stressor. Obviously getting a dog has been has had a massive positive impact, I think, on my overall stress, because I have to do it. Like, there's no, I don't have a choice. You know, I do have a choice, but obviously I want her to be as happy and well looked after as possible. And a big part of that is making sure she is exercised and is happy. But it's also had a massively positive impact on me as well, because it means I have time away from my phone, I have time away from the laptop, I can have a bit of a break from stresses of work and life and things like that. Again, that's one of the reasons that I love trail running, is because it's an opportunity to get out in nature. It's an opportunity to switch off, to find a bit of headspace. I don't run with music normally. I don't run with any distraction. It's an opportunity for me to kind of hone in on how I feel on the area that I'm moving through. Means I actually notice what is going on around me, which I think is really, really powerful. And it's the same thing with going out for a walk. Phone in pocket or leave phone at home, doesn't come out. Opportunity to just think, move, breathe. And I noticed that within the first kind of 5 to 10 minutes of me being in here and just walking with her, if I'm stressed, it goes down from there to there. And I think being able to do that on a regular basis just gives you a little bit of perspective. Obviously takes you, from that kind of sympathetic fight or flight nervous system to your parasympathetic, where you're in like a rest and digest and recovery mode. Which is, that's why I'm passionate, one, about getting out and into nature. It's why, two, I'm passionate about trail running, because I think it's such an awesome way of being able to do that, to get out and to explore. And also it's having that element of adventure, which I think is so powerful as well. It's, being able to move, to explore somewhere different, to go out, have a bit of an adventure, do something different. And then it just makes, I think that having that in my life and being able to do that on a regular basis means that I'm a better person, and it means that I can turn up and show up in a better way for my family, for my loved ones as well. So it's super important to me to be able to get those elements of getting out into nature, being able to run, to explore, because it allows me to be a better person. It allows me to show up as the best version of myself. Something that I was told a long time ago is sometimes you've got to be selfish to be selfless, and that didn't really resonate with me until a lot further on down the line, when I actually understood it. And I think that's a big part of what I have to do now, and something that I massively encourage all of my clients to do as well, is actually taking that time to run, to walk, to have the headspace, to train, which makes me feel awesome about myself, actually allows me to turn up in the best way, for my clients, for my loved ones on a daily basis. So I do think it's super important for people to to actually make sure that they are doing something for themselves, you know, on a daily, weekly basis, because you need stuff like that to recharge the batteries, to allow you to show up in your best way, which is why I like, luckily I'm quite fortunate because I get to do this every day with you, don't I? But also I do get that my life has allowed me to create spaces for me to be able to do that. But I think even if I was super busy, things were going mad, finding time to train for me is so valuable. Not only because I am essentially an advertisement for my own business, but also because it just gives me headspace, and it allows me to do something on a daily basis for myself. Just a little tick box, and I think it helps with being able to work better, to function better, and like I said, to kind of show up as the best version of me. So that's kind of an idea of how training's been going, what I'm going to be up to in the next kind of month or so, and also why I love being out here. The next episode, we're going to be focusing on uphill tempo running, which is going to be kind of like the main bulk of my hard effort work now, in terms of running. And then also, I know we briefly touched on it already, but also we're going to be talking about downhill running and the value of that and how you can begin to include that in your own training. So hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more regular updates of my training, head over to my Instagram, which is Ollie W. McCarthy. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.